How's it going, guys? So this week on the PhantomCave YouTube channel, we're going to be having a look at we're going to be reviewing this magnificent comic that we're going to be reviewing. Now this comic is obviously it's Collector's Replica series number 27. It's from that series. It is number 1891, counts down the original issues from 1957, from numbers 121, 120, and 119. And we're going to be having a look at it right now. So let's get going. Well, today we're going to be having a look at this Collector's Replica series, as I just said. And the last couple of weeks, I've been trying to get back to my original content and not doing these YouTube shorts as I had been doing the last couple of months. But yeah, the Phantom News segments, the original content, and all that sort of stuff. It's always going to be there, and I think that's what I've been known as. That's why I've been known as on my channel. I do original content of Phantom content. I do original news, and I search for news sort of segments and news information for the last week or so. And yeah, and so in number 121, we have the second publication, which is this book right here. We have the second publication of a part two of the 1936 to 1937 daily story, The Sky Band, with art by Ray Moore. It was lastly published complete in Fuse 1000th issue, and more recently it was published in full color in number 1821. That was a typo, I guess, and the number actually was supposed to be 1852, but they called it 1821 on the cover. So yeah, and that obviously was a typo. In number 120, The Game of Alva, with art, second publication of the 1940 daily story, The Game of Alva, with art by Ray Moore. It was last fully published last published complete in number 939, and lately in number 1436. The next one is number 119. It is the 1938 daily story, The Shark's Nest, and that was last published in number 932 and more recently in 1249. Now also, this comic right here, this advertisement that we're going to be looking at, will, in the next couple of weeks, in the next week or two, we're going to be having a look at this issue for the last couple of weeks. Next couple of weeks, we're going to be looking at it. I've already recorded it, so it's all ready to go, and all I have to do is edit it. But more importantly, right now, let's get into the stories. That was too long. Yeah. We've got Skyband Part 2, is it? Yeah, Part 2. Look at those black and white panels. Beautiful. So good. Just look, yeah, it's so very damn good. Now, does he have the black gloves on? No, he doesn't. That must have been later, early in the story. It's very cool. I love reading these stories. Like last year, I was reading quite a lot of stories in the COVID period, but I was also reading quite a number. Well, I was obviously reading on quite a number of stories. I obviously reviewed most of those on the channel, but one story, oh well, three actually. Three stories that actually I read real recently in the last year or so, and that was towards yeah, it was up in near August last year, and I was like, I read I read the full workings, complete workings of the Toma, the Himalayas story, and what's that third one? Can't remember. There was three of them because they all followed after one another. They all followed in the first couple of weeks or couple of months in the Phantom Daily and Sunday strip. So yeah, and this comic in particular, you can see a lot of people, a lot of Sweden fans. Obviously, King Comics Arises actually talked about that in his um in his latest news segment that for a good period of time in Scandinavian from I think the 1990s. He said I think the 1990s. He was saying that in one of the facts it is he said I think in the 1990s it's where we got to see Phantom and the Phantom and News, the Phantom and Phantom magazine in Norway, Sweden, and I think Finland or something like that. We saw a sort of emergement of color. We saw color being used more often. We rarely saw black and white as of like this, and we nowadays we actually have appreciation for black and white. We have appreciation of how black and white can create drama. It can create shadow. The shadows come out more prominently, and a lot more to it. So that's just my understanding of black and white. I also covered. So I covered black and white versus oh, let me get this right. Black and white versus color. Like the comparisons from black and white to color in I think my podcast, the fan episode 3, or was it 2? No, I think it was 3. And in that, well, you can go have a look at it up here. I'll be putting the link. I do a podcast I try to get one out every couple of months. I've got 4 episodes out so far, and right now it's doing quite well. I think I'm liking what I'm seeing, and I've got 4 episodes, as I said, and most of those they either go over 10 minutes or they go over 15 minutes. And I'm also organizing some interviews. I found a new sort of person. No one talks about him that much. So that one, I'm getting that organized. I'm going to be doing, a lot of people, some Phantom fans know this, but I'm actually going to be doing a interview soon, hopefully, and she won't be showing her face, but because of privacy reasons. But I'll be interviewing Julie Dittrich. I'll be interviewing I'll be interviewing one of the first female writers to write the Phantom, and she wrote the new sequel that goes towards in the Red Dragon saga. So that also, the art for that is also done by Wendell Cavalcanti, and I interviewed him last year. So yeah, and he couldn't speak English, so I did subtitles for him, and I like to think that all people that I interview, I give them the chance of what they want to do. What's that? Oh shit. Cockroach. Bloody hell. Sorry about that. I actually try and give them the choice of what they want to do in the interview. I give them, say, where's that cockroach gone? I give them the choice of if they want to preserve their privacy for privacy reasons. Like, for a great example, Wendell Cavalcanti's interview, I did subtitles for him because he could barely, or well, he couldn't really speak English, I guess. So I did that for him. And with Julie Dittrich, I'm going to be doing she's going to be doing an audio sort of one, so you'll be hearing her voice, but you won't be seeing her face. But I'll be doing it in a way so you'll be able to relate to it, but I'll be doing it so that it's like it's an audio visualizer or something like that. And that's the way I want to do it. I'm thinking, because I'm being smart here, I'm thinking, because she's obviously a female Phantom creator, I'm just thinking, because there's a great image of Julie Walker, and I'm thinking with Julie Walker, and how she's one of the first ever Phantom, female Phantoms, I'm just thinking maybe I make the profile visualizer a Julie Walker one, and have Julie Dittrich's audio coming off it. So yeah, it's gonna be good. Still getting that organized. The second story is, oh yeah, it's a game of Alva. And I think I may have read this. I feel like, because these are old stories, don't get me wrong, I love these old stories, but I feel like, because most people, not including younger Phantom fans, haven't actually got the opportunity to read a lot of the Phantom, because it only comes out fortnightly. But a lot of the older fans, as I've said in the last of these types of videos, for reviews of these collector's replica series, I like to say, a lot of the times when you're you're going to republish a old Phantom story at some stage. But I feel like if you're publishing it more regularly, I know that won't really happen because of the new few publications, and Dudley Hogarth and all that. He just wants to do it every 20 or 15 years or something like that. But I feel like if you're publishing old stories, but sometimes in a new way, or if you're publishing old stories that people want to buy, then younger fans will have the knowledge to actually, this is what the Phantom is, this is what the Phantom was about in the olden days when TVs were getting produced and all that sort of stuff. That was back in the 1950s, by the way. And I feel like if you're allowing the younger audience, younger Phantom audience, who haven't actually read that much about Phantom, they can get the gist of what the old Phantom dailies and Sundays were about in the olden times and all that sort of stuff. So I get that. I get that old fans, they feel like they feel like they've already read it before. Nick Moles, I don't know, it might have been Nick Moles, I don't know. But when this comic came out, no disregard to him. He's a great guy. He's a great guy for certain reasons, and he's a funny bloke. But for certain reasons, when he did that video of just cracking a joke of he's not gonna, this is basically what it was. He put this book straight in a bag and board, a lot of people may not know what I'm talking about that, but comics, you put them bag and board. He put them straight in a bag and board and didn't even read it. But yet again, we have old stories. Older fans may have already read it, and yeah, I it's a good point on older fans may have already been reading it or something like that. But I just see that if younger fans of the Phantom that don't have as large as a collection as the older fans do, they can get the gist of what the Phantom was and what the Phantom was about. Pardon me. So yeah, it's a great thing. That's where I get the old stories from and how they're so great and their nostalgia and all that sort of stuff because of um, Wilson McCoy, Ray Moore, George Wilson, and there's going to be a very, very huge news coming out of George Wilson. Coming out of George Wilson news on I think Friday or Thursday. I think it's Friday it comes out, the news segment comes out. But there will be some big news coming from out of George Wilson and an auction. So yeah, you'll have to stay put for that. And we basically tonight we have no one with us today, which is sad. Yeah, it's just so good. I like looking at these old comics. I like the old strips, old Daily and Sundays. That's another story complete, I think. Yeah, look at those old covers. More recently in the last couple of issues, Dudley and the publishing team at a few publications have been putting a little replica, little text box up in the far north corner of every Phantom comic, or especially the older ones that they've been doing, and I think because he said in I think one of the latest comics or something that I read somewhere, he said in the latest comic that he hasn't had any reports that people have been misusing people or people have been misusing the comics to make greater funds and greater money out of it. He hasn't had any reports to do with that. But the one thing a lot of fans would like to stop is basically, it's not that they shouldn't stop the replica thing. It's a good thing that they've got it on there, but make it a little bit bigger. Make it so it's visible on the page. People can't just nip it off or cut it off or something. Make it a little bit bigger, and I guess put like a. This might be another idea for Dudley. Put like a copyright thing on it. So like a put like I think right here somewhere to put on the cover, like on the old replicas. I reckon you should put like the C for copyright. I reckon you should put that on there as well, so that it's a copyrighted thing, but it's also a replica, so people can't misuse it and all that sort of stuff. So that's just my point out of it. It's a great idea. I like it. And we get into, I think, the Shark Tales or something to do. Oh yeah, Shark Nest. I've got the old complete issue of this. We might need to have a look at that one day on this channel once I get my hands free of everything else. But yeah, so good. So it's a pleasure looking at these old comics. It's just a pleasure. And looking at them and seeing them published today without it being well, let me just say that I'm not too sure if with the old issues, sometimes with the old stories in particular, A lot of the time when we actually see, say, like a non-complete printing like Jim Shepard used to do, I think a lot of the editors and a lot of the few crew and a lot of the few publications, they usually, I think it's quite hard to get a real sense of that there's a good sort of copy or good scan of it. But I think if you're publishing, like if you're going to publish a old Phantom story, I know the pages might be a little bit disappointing, but if you're going to publish a replica, this is what I think. If you're publishing a replica, then sometimes you may want to have the full story in it, or have like a large issue but have it as the full story, so that is, yet again, you can get that the full story, and you can teach, say, you can get the younger audience, they can feel for the story, they can visualize what they're talking about it, and they can look and see what happened in the Phantom oh so long ago, and they can see what's happened, what's going on, and how it was created. Not just taking some panels out that might not lead to anything, but those panels that may not lead to anything, they are like supporting the full story in control. So yeah, that's just my point of it. I think that few publications, they're doing a great job in it, but I think the same as what's Jermaine said on, I think, Chronicle Chamber, or he made a video, I think quite a couple of months ago, so either early this year, that he said he has a very old issue, but it's it's a Sweden issue, but it's not Australian. It's not Australian. I think it might be like a Phantom Men issue or something like that. But the way they've done it, they've just put it in a hardcover book. I know it's probably a bit more expensive and all that sort of stuff, but they've actually got information that goes with these certain stories or certain comics that had been published back in those days. They have information that gets published with it, and then people can they can read the history about it, they can get what's happening in the story, they can get the history around it, and it's a good thing. It's good merchandising that you can display on your bookcase or on your bookshelf or something like that, or in your man cave or in your fan cave. Yeah, I think it's a good idea. If you have the full story, it's good for older generations because maybe they haven't read the full story yet, or maybe they haven't read it in a while or something like that, or if it's a returning fan that's coming back and hasn't even read it or forgotten about the story, or if it's the younger audience who basically don't have as large a collection as older fans. Yeah, I think if you're publishing old replicas, if you're publishing old Phantom fans, old Phantom comics, and old Phantom dailies, then I feel like you've got to have it the full story in it, because if people are just skipping certain panels, they may, like I said, they may not lead to anything, but it basically gives a support actress, it gives a support page to the story. Yeah, that's my little rant on it. Yeah. And actually, a couple pages ago, I just saw a Sir Falcon ad. Look at that, people. That's history. That is what you call history. So good. Yeah, and again, if you're publishing the full story. Maybe because it was a comic published back in Yo-Yo-Yo's days, it may not have the full story in it, but you could add the panels to it. You could add more work to it and get people that are either returning people that don't have the story or have sold the collection for no reasons. And yeah, it's my little rant on it and how I'd like these things to go. Yeah, we have the old ads. Gotta love those. We have the Phantom Treasures of Dracon. I've actually got this board game. I haven't played it yet, but from a viewer's perspective, it looks very, very good. I tell you that right now. And you can get that at phantomcomic.com.au now. It's only exclusive first print run only, and that's how Few Crew rolls. Okay. We're coming to the end of our live stream, people. I know not a lot of yous turned up this week. I know that I didn't do much advertising. I just felt like I had to review this book in a live stream so I could just put her away in my collection and basically get it over and done with, basically. And if you would like to subscribe to the PhantomCave YouTube channel, either if you're checking this out on Facebook, I've got a Facebook page that's called PhantomCave. I've got my own social media group full of Phantom fanatics. That is the Cave of the Phantom, basically. I've got a Instagram page called Comics at Phantom Cave, and the comics end of comics is a Z instead of a CS. And if you would like to subscribe to the PhantomCave YouTube channel, I don't know how many times I'm going to be saying this in the next couple of months. But anyways, if you would like to subscribe to the PhantomCave YouTube channel, then you can do so down below. You can hit that subscriber button down below. And as always, keep Phantom Caving, and we'll see you next time on the PhantomCave YouTube channel. And we'll see you at the news segment very, very soon. So see yous, and we'll see yous later.